You know, it's not cold at all outside, but I feel I'm just like freezing in here for some reason. No. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope that you're having a fantastic day out there. As always, I appreciate you joining me today as we dive into a full album reaction. Tangerine Dream. It's been a little bit since we've listened to them. Not like that long, but long enough that I figured it would be nice to return to them. I'm in the mood to listen to some Tangerine Dream. And so we're going to listen to the 7th studio album from the band, released in 1976, Stratosfear. Don't think that's how you spell it, but there's a little fear in this particular air. There's a little fear in the air. Get it? Stratosphere. Listen, quite a few of you had recommended this particular album. Some of you that recommended this one, David Oliveris, AK. You said this is top notch. Brandon Ryan. Iksamir Filmin. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Martin Gripentrog. Sorry. Martin Dunner. Mike Bentley. Adher. Galandiro Frivendell. Nick J. Masterpiece. Peace as in the opposite of war. Richard Thresh. 1C Jew. Or Joe. Joe Pay. Toten Cope Zwerg. AJWG, Nonlinear, Dennis Pope, Chinnard, Jeremy B, Lopez Martinez, MA. Listen, a lot of you. Maximum Movement Theater, KMA's Corner. I mean, like I'm only 2 years back, and as I scroll down, I'm going 3 years, 4 years. Toby Tanzer, James Howell, Albert Nguyen, Altair, Brother Martin Dali OSB. Oh, this list is going back. I'm 4 years. It is a lot of you that recommended this particular album, and so I'm thankful to you, and I appreciate the suggestion. And as I go back 6 years ago, Rexy B, you mentioned this one as well. Look, you guys are right here. I got you pulled up. We searched Stratosfear, Rexy B, Big McLean, TMRNBN, AK 5 years ago. There's a few of you. So I thank you, and I appreciate you being here. Listen, I don't want to waste any more time. Not that mentioning those of you that suggested the album is a waste of time, because I don't think it is. And, you know, this ain't VHS. You can always skip forward with ease and rewind with ease. Anyways, the plugs. Buy Me a Coffee's there. If you'd like to sponsor a song request, you can do that over there. The Patreon is available for exclusive content there as well. And right here where you're watching on YouTube, if you don't mind just pressing that like button, it helps a great deal. Subscribing if you haven't already, which I know you have, because you know you probably have already. I hope you did. And sharing the video if you feel so inclined. So, without further ado, let us go ahead and dive into the album Stratosfear. We're going to start off with the first track, appropriately named Stratosfear. And you know what I should do before we do an album listen? We should probably pull up the album that we're listening to so we have it available and ready to go. We're pulling it up right now. All right. Stratosfear. Got to put my headphones on or else I'm not going to be able to hear anything that we play. And let me line it up here. I think we're ready. I think we're lined up in the right place and everything's ready to go. We're good. All right. Title track, Stratosfear, starting off. And as always, this sip of just straight water is to you. I should always do it on the left side. That way I can just grab it. That sounds kind of Pink Floydish. Catchy melody. It's got a little funk to it. Little solo. Those little percussive, light percussive chords, man. Back to this. I like how the guitar worked in that. I love this melody though. I love that they return to it. They changed it coming back. It's like it's constantly building up to a chorus. going. So we got 2 minutes. I love how this track ended. We went on this ultimate electronic, progressive, sequenced adventure. And then for the last 2 minutes, we just got a little bit of guitar and a little bit of keys under that. And it was just a really cool ambient way of ending this track. And it made me think, just like to toss my thoughts out there, the album is called Stratosfear, but this piece is called Stratosfear as well. And it made me think of like a ship launching up. And then once it broke that particular layer, broke that particular part of the atmosphere, the stratosphere, it reached new heights. And I felt like that ending here was kind of like they break through. The adventurous part, that first 8 minutes fades away. It's just like our spaceship we're just floating in space. And then we're just left in the gravity, or a lack of gravity. We're just left in this space. And that was like our way of breaking through that stratosphere. I thought that was a really cool piece of music and a really great track from the band. I like how, they're so rhythmically developed at this point. So I didn't look at where this album comes in their discography. I know it's the 7th album, but I want to see where it is in relation to albums that we've listened to from the band already. Tangerine Dream discography. Okay. I want all the albums, not just... Here we go. All right, there you go. So let's see. We'll listen to Phaedra, Rubicon, Ricochet. Okay, so Stratosphere is after Ricochet. Okay. And then, let's see, Cyclone, Force Majeure. Okay. So, Force Majeure is where we kind of last left off, basically, with them. So this is before that. And in our listening, it's the album right before Force Majeure. So you can kind of hear, I guess, a progression in that regard as well. Because there, guitar was much more involved. It was very much a much more progressive, almost rock-edged album in some ways there. And so you get kind of a little bit of a precursor here with this album. And I think that's really cool how that's used here. Every time the guitar showed up, which wasn't too much in this piece, but when it did, it made, I thought, a really cool impact, from just the chords being struck to the solo that we had, which was so small. Man, it was so small. I would have loved for just the guitar to just go. That's going to be Edgar playing that. And I loved what he brought there. And of course, you have all the sequencers and the mellotrons and the keys and the Fender Rhodes and the this and that. Just an assortment of gadgets to make these pleasurable sounds. But can I tell you from the very beginning, it's very catchy. all the melodies that they came up with throughout this whole 10 minutes or so was so catchy, and they do a great job, as they always have, of starting a melody, then beneath that they'll play another melody, and eventually that one underneath will become the main. The previous main will fade away, and they constantly have this cyclical motion of kind of introducing a new sound and then fading the other one out before bring back something in, or they eventually, about 5 minutes in, kind of perfectly bring back the opening melody, but they change it just slightly. And even if they didn't change that main melody, they would change the things around it so that it comes back even more fresh than before. So I think that that's really cool how they constantly do that, and the band is always kind of reinventing themselves. Like, this is completely different, of course, from Phaedra. It's a different progression that we're seeing here with them. But can I pull them up really quick here? Let me see. Here. You also get some little percussive moments, like you have the little crash there. You have this snare roll that brings up the back of the track as well. So you have like little percussive elements without necessarily fully fledged diving into a specific groove or a drum driven beat. But I love that kind of ghostly sound, right? Almost a theremin-esque kind of sound when it reaches those higher notes. I was trying to get that main melody. Da, 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 da. That melody is like my favorite thing here. That melody, if you know what's funny, on its own, the way they played it, obviously it works really great with their sound and what they're doing. But if you took that melody, made it larger, gave it a big guitar riff, you know what that could sound like? It could sound like some big mainstream 80s song, like some 80s rock and roll song. Like, imagine that melody, but like with like guitars and like some, I don't know, vocalist from like Aerosmith or Journey or something. Like big arena rock. Ba-da-da, ba, 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 ba. Yeah! Like, I could hear, like, but it's just the way that they do it. They slice it down, break it down, give it a very specific tone, and it just makes it incredible. But I wasn't looking at exactly where it happened, but that guitar, a little bit of solo. Perfect. This, man. Every single bit just leaves you wanting more. And sometimes I'll say, especially when it comes to like a progressive rock song or something, that I don't like when the music changes too much. When it doesn't stay in a specific lane, it's bouncing this way and that way all the time. And it's like, just stick with something for a little bit. Don't go crazy. This changes a lot, but the progression is incredibly organic, and it makes sense with how they're approaching it. And I think that this was a really fantastic way to start off the album. Now, with that being said, let's move on into the next track here, which is going to be The Big Sleep in Hades. Or In Search of Hades, rather. The Big Sleep in Search of Hades. The Big Sleep in Search of Hades, like you have to die to find Hades, kind of. Well, Odysseus didn't die when he went to Hades to talk to Tiresias. Yeah, it was Tiresias that he went down there to talk to. And while he was down there, he found his mother-in-law? No, he found his mom. Yeah. I remember my Greek mythology. Oh, this is a nice opening. It sounds like an old Genesis track, like Trespass era. Doesn't it? Sorry, I'm talking too much. That flute setting on the Mellotron's doing some heavy lifting. It's very Cosmos kind of way of twisting that mellotron sound in and out. I like how we're getting some different sounds and an approach in this track as opposed to the first. It's not as rhythmic. Vocoder? It's a very interesting track. The structure is really unique. So short. This is the shortest track on the album. And obviously we're only 2 tracks in. But this I wanted it to go on longer because I like this one a lot. It has a really cool atmosphere and a great way of building and moving. So it opens up gorgeously. I love the use of the guitar, like I mentioned before, especially from Tangerine Dream. It just leaves it piques my interest. I love the use of the guitar, that gentle picking, and then the mellotron using that flute setting. Just those 2 things alone builds a great, hauntingly gorgeous and pastoral kind of atmosphere that, like I said, is very reminiscent to me of early Genesis. I'm thinking Trespass era. And I think that that's just a really cool way of like invoking that. And they pull it off brilliantly. It's so simply done, but they do it gorgeously. And then after that, it kind of shifts and it goes into a complete different direction. And it becomes much more experimental, a little bit more abstract in its ambience, kind of closer to their earlier works, but still nonetheless not losing any of that spirit. The mellotron, of course, is playing a huge role there, as it's kind of playing in the cosmos, I would say. To me, it's just the mellotron, especially with volume and the panning that's being used there, it kind of circles the ambience. It circles the room like a nebula, or like, you know, when you see like pictures of like galaxies and stuff, it has that kind of swirl to it. It feels like the mellotron in that particular section is swirling around us in our minds. And I really think that that's cool. And then the sound that's reintroduced with it as well. Like I said, mellotron's doing the heavy lifting. But there's another little, right there. There's another little melody of keys that's being played behind that. And I've never seen the show. I've wanted to watch an episode or 2 or like kind of look into it on my, like for a TV reaction. But it reminds me a little bit of like the Twilight Zone. It just has a certain held in suspense kind of tone to it all. And those higher notes, juxtaposed with the mellotron coming into our view and fading out of our view, kind of leaves us with a really nice bit of tension. And can I tell you, when it moves into this, like, okay, we get a little bit of a melody, and it gently builds off of this. Gently. So can I tell you, the track is called The Big Sleep in Search of Hades. Once again, this feels like a journey, right? It says in search of. So buscamos, like, let's look for something. Like, this is actually a search. Where are we searching? High and low, and especially very low. So it's really cool how this is, like, they're capturing this idea in the music. And to me, unless I'm mistaken, The Big Sleep in death, right? In search of Hades. Well, I guess that's where you're going. So, like, the opening, it's like life. You have the mellotron flute playing happily and the guitar. And then it ends. And then you have the panning of the mellotron. And like I said, it becomes more spacey. And that to me is represented here, death. And then from there, it is searching for something. This whole part is searching a different kind of adventure, a different kind of odyssey. And then eventually, you return and you find what you're looking for, or you found what you've been looking for. Man, that is so good. The beginning and ending of this are so good. There's only 4 tracks on the album, and we're only at track 2. But I'm going to say it right now that this is my favorite track on the album. I think that this is just out of this world. I just love how they put that together. It's just, also a good kind of structure. A nice, simple but nice melody to bring you in, toss you into some ambience and some space, kind of eventually find a little bit of a groove in there, and then bring you right back to where you began. Let's go ahead and move on to the next album. The next song, the next track. We're flipping over the side of the album. That's what I meant to say. And we're going to move on to 3 a.m. at the border of the marsh from Okefenokee. Hey, listen. It's not a long album. Let's do some research. Here you go. The Okefenokee Swamp is the largest blackwater swamp in North America, covering 400,000 acres of wetlands across the Georgia-Florida border. Can we get some pictures? That is huge. That looks so cool. Gotta say though, I live in Florida. We have this kind of like stuff down the street. It's cool. It's really cool, but brother, we live in a swamp over here. I see that all the time. Let's go ahead and listen to this track. So 3 a.m. at the border of the marsh from Okefenokee. Okay, so you're going Swamp Town basically in the middle of the night or in the early morning. Quiet noises in the night. The harmonica kind of adds to the swampiness. And they bring back this melody, but stronger. the group has really done an outstanding job of creating certain scenes, creating certain sound paintings and sonic sketches for us. 3 a.m. at the border of the marsh from Okinafoki. I probably said that wrong because I wasn't looking at it. The music perfectly captures that. First of all, to start off ambience, the use of the sound of a harmonica is great. What a fantastic instrument to use as a piece of Americana, a slice of folk in this particular context, and to really play to that, isolation in this swamp in the very, very early hours of the morning where everything is completely dark. And the swamp is probably only lit up by the eyes of the alligators that are in there and, the maybe little fireflies that you may see, like barely lit up. And I think that the ambience is so well done there. And the harmonica, which I don't see listed, by the way, in the personnel and in the instruments. So I'm thinking that not harmonica, but maybe it's the mouth organ that's being used to kind of create that sound. I don't know. For all I know, it could be mellotron. Again, I don't think so. But, either way, using that sound is such a great way to set that scene and place us in that moment. And then they do a great job in that ambience. They have two little notes, and they just back and forth bounce between each other. And in the space of that ambience, they give us a little melody of such. Then the other sounds play. The creeps and the critters and the crawling things happening in the dark where we can't see, but you hear. You go to the woods at night, you go to a swamp at night, you can't see anything, but you hear everything, and you know that something's watching you even though you can't see it. So it's really cool how they really, truly integrate that sound into their music and into what they do, into the scene. Then you have, my hat hit this, then you have this big, big, big rising wash and wave of mellotron that strongly takes over the music like a wave that just washes it over. And then those two notes, those beginning ambience melodies come back, but this time the picture is more full. This time it's kind of more alive. The swamp has woken up. And this time the ambience is there. It's taken to a new level. Why is this cracking when I move it? Now it's taken to a more produced and full extent. And now it actually plays around a little bit more with fuller, vibrant melodies in that case, but still keep into that swamp-like tone. This is a really great album so far, and this track is a great highlight as well. So, see, okay, let me back it up here. There, you get the boom, ping. That's your start off. Then changes right, get to this. There's your ping. Boom. Ping. So it's really cool how they fill in the gaps there, creating more rhythm there, rather, with the bum, 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 not filling it in, right? Just repeating it. And then, of course, bring in more sounds like the mellotron such around it. Just a really great job of creating that. Then, I was going to say here, and you get that heavy kind of piano harpsichord, maybe? Something, and it shifts between a kind of, I don't know when the last time I used this word was, like a dastardly melody, like something is making plans on you in the dark, you just can't see it's coming. That's when that bum 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 that part comes. But then it's also softened with, I would say, the eerie mysticism of the night and being in a swamp. This part. That little mellotron playing the flute. Now, can I show you? Let me see if I can find something really quick. You give me like a moment, and we're gonna do some looking about. We're gonna do some research here. I'm just gonna find. You give me a moment. Fast typing. What if? Okay. So it's not what I want. Try one more thing. We're gonna try one more. Nope, that's not what I want. Well, maybe. No, that's not what I want. That's not it. What if we just do? This will work. Okay. I'm gonna mute this. It's not great quality. What I was trying to do, basically, I was trying to find a swamp at night, like a tour. Like, see the gauges, right? Like, I was trying to find a tour, and like you can imagine listening to the music at night. But I want to find like a good quality one, not just like some kind of random. I want like a good one. Are there no good swamp tours at night or anything? Night swamp tour. Like, I'm just like that. It's cool, but I'm trying to find like a high quality one because the music would just so perfectly capture. I mean, it's not going to be night, but you know. And then let me get the music. That's what I should be doing while I do this. It's not nighttime, but you just have to imagine. I wish it was nighttime. Like, think of this but night, and it fits so well. It would fit so well. And like, if you've ever been like an airboat or like some sort of tour like this, like there's bumps on the boat, and like you don't know what's going on sometimes underneath. Anyway, it's just cool. I couldn't find a night one. I'm sorry. I really tried. But anyways, the point was it fits great with the atmosphere, and I could absolutely imagine listening to this at night in a boat in a swamp, which here would just be at night in a boat. Let's move on to the final track, the final piece of music here, Invisible Limits, the longest track on the album at 11:30. Are invisible limits actually limits? Well, just because you can't see them, I guess that doesn't mean that they're not there. Kind of a light psychedelic kind of sound. It's such an entrancing melody. It's like hypnosis. Kind of a soul sound to it, like the beginning of a soul track. Like that wah. It's kind of like psychedelic soul. Going. Where are we going? Shadow. DJ Shadow used that. DJ Shadow used that bit. Oh, in what song? That's awesome. 4 minutes. I gotta remember that. Back to it. It's a very dissonant wind that's blowing back there. play Moonlight Sonata? It's like a different version of it. Similar progression. Very similar progression. What a nice way to return. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Stratosfear from Tangerine Dream. 4 tracks, but they hit nice. Do you guys hear that? My fan's making like a grinding noise. Okay, Invisible Limits is, yes, the longest track, but also definitely the most encompassing track when it comes to their sound. Because of where this is placed in their discography, I feel like this is on the line of like their more ambient stuff, like Phaedra, Rubicon, and moving towards, you know, a little bit more of a progressive kind of sound like we heard with Force Majeure. Like, I think that this kind of hits that middle ground really nicely. And Invisible Limits kind of feels like the ultimate middle ground and fine line dividing this specific period, I guess you could say, of Tangerine Dream within their career. And it's really cool how we get, like, in the very beginning, the melodies and the way the guitar is used, some of the keys, it's like a very psychedelic sound. And then they start to integrate almost these psychedelic soul chords and notes in there, which is really cool to build off of that because it's a fantastic way to start this off. You got the, you know, like right here. That note especially, like that has Isley Brothers all over it with the Mellotron. Right there, that wow, 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 wow. That little echo on that note, that like you're just feeling like someone's about to come and start singing, and they're gonna be singing some soul, like stylistics, just like oh you, betcha you. Anyways, I thought that was a really great way to start off, but they don't let you get too comfortable. They give you a decent amount of time within that specific space, but then we're moving on to something a little bit more eerie, dissonant there. Guitar taking you lead in. And can I tell you something? The melody that played, shortly, I'm gonna skip around here. Alright, I'm gonna pull up another album. Right there. I don't remember which track it's on. Might be Changeling. It's a little before that, like, gets the whole melody there. Maybe it was even before that. Anyways, so DJ Shadow used a sample of that on his album Introducing It. I just can't remember off the top of my head which song. I think it might be Changeling. I think so. It's like the main melody. Bear with me. There. Right there. Okay, so to bind the two together, in case you don't know, DJ Shadow, that album Introducing, is continuously one of the most noteworthy, highest rated albums of all time. It's up there on that list, and with great deal, because the whole album is solely made with samples. And of course, you may be thinking, well, a lot of albums are made like that. Not at the time his came out, not so prominently, and every single sound, even for just a moment, he uses us like, it's crazy the amount of samples used in there, and kind of like the rearranging of things. It's absolutely gorgeous. But anyways, to bring it back here, so it's a cool way for him to bring that riff in there. But getting back to Tangerine Dream, because that's what we're here for, to talk about. It's really cool how that riff comes in, and there's a coolness to it, but because of like the mellotron and some of the surrounding aura around it, it kind of makes it a little creepy, right? And that rushing rhythm, that gallop of a rhythm back there, it's like almost at odds with the melody on top, because that rhythm is like a galloping heartbeat. It's like it's like fast, like we gotta go. But then the music behind it, there's a lot of sustained notes. It's just kind of cooling off. It's just kind of there. It's almost a Western-esque tone to those notes there and the strumming. But I think that that's just so cool how they're able to bring these elements together, fit the pieces into the puzzle, and all of a sudden you have this unique picture that comes out. It's a really creative way of making this electronic jigsaw of an album. And like I said, this is kind of more akin to their earlier, more electronic works, in which is definitely a little bit more out there and experimental. At the end of the day, what do? They play what seemed to me this kind of like version of Moonlight Sonata, but not quite. It's more like waning crescent sonata. I don't know. Is that one of the phases of the moon? But I think that it's a really interesting and cool way to end not only this piece, but of course the album as a whole. Let's dive into some of the info on this particular one. It reached number 39 in the UK in a 4-week chart run, and eventually reached silver status and selling in excess of 60,000 copies, which is amazing. Nick Mason of Pink Floyd did the original mix in '76. Due to disputes between Tangerine Dream and Virgin, this mix, however, was abandoned. Stratosfear combines Tangerine Dream's acoustic and electronic influences more tightly than before. For instance, at the end of the last track, Invisible Limits, the deep piano/flute reveal, or tune reveals the album's romantic flavor, even after the earlier predominantly synthetic compositions. It was Peter Bauman's last studio album with the group. It marks the beginning of the band's development away from their uncompromising early 70s synth experiments towards a more recognizably more melodic sound. Yeah, like I said, it's on that fine line, which of course they would pick up in Force Majeure, which Cloudburst Flight. God. The title track Stratosphere has been played live many times and has been released as a remix form as well, and it goes on from there. Truly, my favorite track is Big Sleep, In Search of Hades. After Big Sleep, like, it's only 4 tracks, right? I don't usually rate every single track on the album, or like put them on a list of sorts. Big Sleep is my favorite. 3 a.m. is my next favorite. Stratosphere after that, and then finally Invisible Limits. That's how my personal ranking, if I had to rank these pieces, would go. But what a fun album. And like I said, for me personally, it's always a good time just to return to Tangerine Dream and kind of, I guess this could apply to any album or any song that I listen to. that I've returned to an artist I've heard before. It's just cool to see what they're cooking up. It's just cool to see, to take this time machine and go back in time to this time, and what was happening. And I'm glad we did today. Thank you guys for joining me on this journey. I hope that your dreams were pleasant. I hope that you had a good time watching and listening to the music especially. Please let me know your thoughts on the album down in the comments below. I appreciate it from all of you that had recommended the album. And thank you guys for your wait. Some of you from 6 years ago. Thank you. Have a great rest of your morning, your afternoon, your evening. Have an enjoyable night. And I will see you all later. Bye.